Welcome back. Public opinion polls indicate that it's a three-way race for the top two spots in the race for governor of California. Javier Becerra, a former Secretary of Health and Human Services, the former California Attorney General, is believed to be the front runner, certainly on the Democratic side. But now it's a race for the second slot between Steve Hilton, a member of the Republican Party, and Tom Steyer, who has spent a record $210 million in this race for governor. We talked with both of them earlier this week. Mr. Steyer, thanks for taking the time. Recently, you launched another two negative ads against Javier Becerra. That's contrary to what normally happens in political campaigns, usually end on a positive note. Dissuade us of the notion that you have flattened out in terms of a positive message, and so you're doing everything you can to bring down Javier Becerra's numbers in order to make the runoff.
Oh, absolutely not, Conan. We are ending on a positive note. Look, this race has gotten very simple. There is one person in this race who is working unconditionally for working people across California. There's one person in this race who is taking on the corporate special interests, and those corporate special interests are spending a record amount of money, tens of millions of dollars against me. And there's one person in this race who's standing for change in California at a time when working Californians can't afford to live here anymore. So that is, all of this is about how we build a California that working people can afford to live in, where we go back to having a great school system, and where people can afford to buy a house.
So let me ask you, you've been an activist on climate change. You started Next Gen Climate Change. You've talked about the problems of fossil fuel engines as well as tailpipe emissions leading to global warming. So if the price of gasoline goes up and more people combine their trips, more efficient in the use of their car, and they start using public transportation more, isn't that a good thing?
Look, do I think it's a good thing that gasoline prices go up and swamp the budgets of working Californians? Of course, I don't think that's a good thing, Conan. I've been saying what we need to do. They are getting windfall profits because of a war, a stupid war that Donald Trump started in Iran, and the oil companies' costs haven't gone up at all, but their profits have zoomed. And I've said they're getting windfall profits at the expense of Californians, and we should be going and getting that money back, their windfall profits tax, and sending it directly to Californian citizens who are getting screwed at the pump. So do I think it's good when Californians' prices go up? I don't think that's good. I think we should be moving to clean energy. Of course I do. But I don't want to do it by making Californians suffer at all. And my answer is to make them not suffer.
Tom Steyer, who has a rally in Los Angeles later today, thank you very much for taking the time. Joining us now from his car is Steve Hilton, the leading Republican candidate for governor of California. Mr. Hilton, you maintain a position here, but according to at least the LA Times poll, it is neck and neck between you and Mr. Steyer for the second slot. Are you concerned that you might have two Democrats as opposed to two Republicans in November?
I don't think that's likely, but it's not impossible looking at the numbers and looking at the amount of money that Tom Steyer has available to spend. And so my message, especially to people who are maybe thinking, and I've heard this from Republicans, you know, Steve looks like he's got this, he's leading in the polls. Why don't we vote for Chad? And then maybe we can get two Republicans in the top two. That's not even remotely a possibility. If you want to have change in California, there's only one vote now that will guarantee the possibility of that, and that's a vote for Steve Hilton.
Let's say you do make the runoff. How does somebody who's a pro-Trump Republican win in California when, according to the Public Policy Institute poll, 3 out of 4 Californians, including a large number of Republicans, say they are worse off financially because of Mr. Trump's war with Iran? When it comes to gas prices, inflation, it's in that case, they're talking about the behavior of the Republican president, who would be, you know, your ally in the fall.
Well, of course, the other number is that a majority of Californians think that our state is on the wrong track and our state is run by Democrats. And so I think the key question in this election, and it's almost in a sense going to be the defining contours of the general election, if it's myself, as it looks like being Javier Becerra, it's obvious that the Democrat candidate, if it is Becerra, they have nothing to say other than to to go on and on about Trump and so on, because the record of these 16 years of one-party rule by the Democrats is completely indefensible. They don't even try and defend it. Highest poverty rate in the country, highest unemployment rate, highest cost of living, homelessness, the schools. We can see that their years have been a complete failure. So they can't defend the record. They have nothing new to offer. You saw the other day when Javier Becerra was asked if there's anything he'd do differently. He said no. And so they have nothing to say other than to point to Donald Trump and to try and brand me alongside him. Whereas if the election is about California and our needs in this state, remember, it's an election for governor. This is not a presidential race. If the election is about California, I'm very confident that I'll win, because we desperately need change in this state.
That's Steve Hilton, Republican candidate for governor of California. Before him was Tom Steyer, one of the Democrats running for governor, both of them trailing Javier Becerra, the leading Democrat, former state attorney general, in the race for governor. Top two finishers face off in November. Election day is on Tuesday. Our NBC4's news conference program is preempted this week at 9 o'clock. We will be back with that program next week. I'm Conan Nolan. Have a great Sunday.